Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I never do this alone. I have the ladies with me. Hello.
Good morning. Good to have you back. Somewhere in my head, I was like, we'll just dramatize the beginning of this show. I'll open the show and then I'll say, welcome to the show. And I'll say, no, I'm not the one hosting. I don't know that, but it all happened in my head. But it was good to really have you back.
The hair is pink or purple. Which color is this?
It's like ombre from purple to light pink thereabouts. And all through last week, I had to conform myself. I did not do anything so dramatic because I had to represent that.
Did you wear this last week?
It was on my head also last week, but I packed it to the back. The color didn't show. The lady that gave me the hair was like, why are you hiding the color? I said, I'm hosting the show. I cannot be doing all these dramatic things when we're hosting.
How was your
I'm
weekend?
good. The weekend was pretty calm. I had a very busy week, jumping from location to location. Today, 1 week after we launched Rep 360, my real estate business, and support has been huge.
Wow.
Inquiries have been a lot. We have 500 followers. I was thinking, we'll reach 1,000. But like, it's good. I feel, there's still that small jittering that would happen, but I just keep. But this morning was a prayerful morning on my exercise. I was just praying that 1 week, just thank God, and hoping for the best. So
that's good. Congratulations. Listen, this is your time to hustle. Not when you are 50 or 60. This is time to put all the grind in, and by God's grace, you see the results. So don't worry. It might start slow, but eventually to pick up, and then the blessings will be.
You guys
enormous.
have been so supportive. I feel blessed to be among you all.
Thank God.
Honestly.
Fantastic. How you doing, Mariam?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing amazing. I just wanted to sound off on COVID-19. We talk about sensitization and how we do not get enough of that. But to be fair, TVC has had this report that they keep playing over and over again on COVID-19. But what I notice may be a problem will be that when we talk about those who are not following protocols or who do not believe, there's a certain socioeconomic class of people that we concentrate on, and then when we talk about those who have been through it or who are dying, then we are mostly talking to educated people who are traveling. So for someone just watching, say, oh, okay, obviously it's a problem of the rich. So in reporting, we need to also show that it's affecting people across all socioeconomic, strata, because looking at these reports, it just looks like, okay, the people who have it, the people who are in hospital, the people who have oxygen, are those who can afford it, are those who travel, they're the ones that have it. So I have
a friend that helps me to go to my 12. Shout out to Labake, and she was telling me that the person, her Uber driver, was complaining that quite a bit of his colleagues have passed on due to COVID. Yeah. And a lot of people are not talking about it. People are actually dying on all levels, but people are not talking about it. And even she was saying that, she was telling me that I should please be careful. If she bought me all the lemongrass, the dongoyaro, and everything, I come around, please, this thing is not serious. So this is even she goes to my tour every day, and she hears of people actually dying. Yeah. So we don't hear this report, maybe because of certain risk factors, but the truth is that people are dying.
Yeah, just to add, there's something they say, even after you've gotten it and you've gotten better, there's still lingering effects to the point that some people, you would hear some people just fall down and die, that there's some particles that are left in your system that block arteries, the blood system. So we need to be
very careful. Yes. I know, it is well. Well, I've been gone for a week.
You just have to tell us what
Yes, what I've been up to.
Yeah, COVID is real. I mean
everybody missed you.
Yeah, I was in school for the week, and it was great. I had to be at a hotel. I was at the hotel there for myself and my roommate. I mean, we did all the COVID precautionary measures and all that. And the school actually did well. I mean, they tried to ensure that there was a lot of fresh air. They did the best, social distancing and all that, and it was good.
The experience of being out of home. Like, this is your first, this is like,
away from the children. I miss the kids, I missed all that, but my son, the little one, just moved on. Yeah, may God not take us from our children. May God not, he just moved on. Like, okay, she's not around, okay. The kids just life went on. Life just went on. I see, and I came back. I came back and he was, oh, you're back, okay, I'll go back. But life went on.
So, but you were like FaceTiming, video calls and stuff.
Kids, yes, we did. Every time we go to school, my husband calls in and we called. It was nice. We're studying presentations, deadlines. That's what they call intensive week. Like it's back to back, intensive. You're constantly preparing for the next day for something. So listen, let me go use my own money, go and buy markets. So let me just finish up. Probably by this year, we're done this year by God's grace. I can't wait.
Well done.
So that take this thing to a professional level.
Yeah, I can't wait. Honestly, I can't.
Let's go to a break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with The Nation this morning. Rampaging bandits kill 19 in raid on 2 councils. Why many countries reject cryptocurrencies by CBN. Envoys designate fear mission reshuffling as ex-service chief's number gets nominated. Governor, Kwara APC dissidents face suspicion. Lagos Egbingbeti summit for February 16th. Military drafted to warring Osun communities. And picture here of no to coup as justice for Myanmar. And Marwa to Barons, we still smoke you out. Yeah. We will smoke you out. Okay, which stories are we taking here in The Nation?
So let me take the NDLEA chairman, Brigadier General Buba Marwa. He's vowing or has vowed to smoke out all drug barons out of their hideouts. You know, during his inaugural speech, he was saying that they are out on the offensive. And so since then, last month in Ondo State, the NDLEA command, they were able to confiscate about 664,148 kilograms of hard drugs. That was just last month in Ondo State. In Edo State, 7 drug barons were arrested, and the ages of these people from 60s, 50s, and in their 40s. You know, pump-action rifles were also confiscated from them, and the estimated street value of the seized cannabis from these people was put at 1.4 billion naira. Anyway, the chairman is saying, you know, they're out on the offensive. If you know you're a drug baron, if you know you're into this business, if you know what's good for you, just hand over now, or else NDLEA will come for you. And it's really important to see, you know, when I heard the speech, I was really waiting. And every day since then, we've heard about how these people have been caught. And
major headlines, sadly, 19 people have been killed in Kaduna State between Birnin Gwari and Kujeni village. And it's sad, 14 died in one location. Many were left with gunshot wounds, and it was said that this was carried out by bandits that attacked 2 locations. A 3rd location was even attacked within Kaduna State on Saturday, but very late, and so they couldn't get the figures from those that were killed from that place. This report was confirmed by the Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Samuel Aruwan, and we can't continue like this. It's too much.
Yeah. So Lagos State Ehingbeti will be hosting the Lagos Economic Summit Ehingbeti next week, I think Tuesday, February 16th. They'll be receiving the president. And this year's edition is for a greater Lagos, setting the tone for the next decade. And they'll be bringing in speakers, about 150 speakers from across the world to attend this summit.
Zoom or online?
Yeah, well, it's probably going to be Zoom. Moving on now to The Punch. Petrol price may hit $190 as oil nears $60. Suspected herdsmen slaughter farmer on Ogun farm. NMA attacks health workers. Union says Jehesu. Pregnant cop, Ekiti sues IG, says police regulations violate constitution. Ekiti, Ondo deploy Amotekun in forest boundaries against herdsmen. Cryptocurrencies breed illegal activities, raise risks, says CBN. Right, which story are we taking?
Okay, I got a human interest story about this man. No, this man that works with Winners Chapel. Okay. His name is Afolabi Samuel, and he's been sentenced to 3 years imprisonment for stealing $90,000 and 4.5 million naira belonging to registered trustees of the church. It just reminds me of the CAC, you know, Braha, that the churches were involved in. But they said he, in collaboration or in connivance with another staff of Covenant University, he is an accountant, and she works with the church, with the university. They came together with a few other people and they stole this amount of money, although he pleaded guilty, and based on his lawyers and plea for mercy. He was given instead a 1 million naira fine and also to pay back the amount of money that people in church and of that caliber of church, will be stealing blindly like this.
Another story that caught my attention was a story about the killing of a farmer at Imeko in Ogun State. The farmer was Dele Oloni, and reported that suspected Fulani headsmen stormed the village at the night with guns, cutlasses, and killed him. His wife found him already macheted, and he was slaughtered, according to the reports. The police, DSP Abimbola Oyeyemi, confirmed the incident, adding that there was no evidence that the man was actually killed by Fulani headsmen, but based on the reports, is what we're saying.
I'm tired of hearing this story, but we must talk about it. There must be more investigation. It's saddening that they keep saying it's Fulani headsmen, marauding headers, whichever way they call it. If somebody is shot, the criminal element, the police should investigate the entire chain so that we don't name the wrong people and people don't carry out crime in the name of Fulani. They can dress like they can.
Let me even link that to Kogi State, because what happened was there was a burning of a school in Kogi, and the government has said it was not done by headsmen or Fulani headsmen, because the report had it that, they've come to burn down the school. And it was that what happened was that there was a burning, somebody indiscriminate burning of bush, and then it kind of moved into and spread into the school. So we shouldn't aggravate the policy or cause more tension in the land by
with the reporting.
tagging it Fulani headsmen. So let's be 100% sure. And this is what the story is telling us, that we need
Let's
to
report the crime and not attach any tribe to the crime.
To it first.
Until you're sure.
We do
until I'm sure that it's from this sector before we start saying it. Okay, moving on now to Daily Sun. Herders' crisis may lead to civil war, says Shoyinka. Picture here of a woman weeping after losing her shop to a fire in Gwarinpa, Abuja. 2023 presidency, Igbo shouldn't be deputy to anybody, says ex-Millard Ocholo. Buhari, AU, must be reformed to stay relevant. Ex-Imo MBHM man slaughtered in Owerri office. Bandits kill 19, burn churches, several houses in Kaduna. Kidnappers on rampage in Abuja, 4 abducted residents flee and police arrest 6 suspects. And new electoral act ready before end of February, says National Assembly. Right. Very, very, very sad story. The picture here was really heartbreaking. This woman was in tears because her shop went on the flames at the inferno that took place in Gwarinpa, Abuja. Very sad story. But the major headline, Wole Soyinka, that video went viral.
Okay.
And it was an interesting video because there he did say that the president was demonstrating himself as complicit, because what he expected of the president was to come out and acknowledge that, yes, he's a patron of the herders and that it's a business and that he doesn't believe in killing people, because even his own farm, he feels that it's been encroached lately, such that he can't even have enough room to do his hunting. So according to him, he felt that the president must demonstrate in his posture and his utterances to show that he's against the killings of farmers. And if he hasn't done that, he might show his complicity. And he said very clearly that he didn't want to use the term civil war. Well, however, the continuous silence might snowball into that, and we must ensure we do everything to prevent it. Okay, another story in Sun. Any other story that caught your attention?
I have a lot of stories in Vanguard.
Okay, Vanguard. Criminal headsmen have begun guerrilla warfare on Yoruba land, says Agbekoya and Afenifere. Rabiu urges FG to replicate Nigeria's Sugar Development Council in rice sector. Is that the story you wanted to tell? COVID-19, Nigeria can't afford another lockdown. Gunmen on rampage in Kaduna, Delta, Taraba, FCT. 2 dead, many wounded in Osun communal clash. Government declares 24-hour curfew. Igbo presidency will end Southeast grievances, says Nwodo and Okore. Ban on cryptocurrency to protect Nigerians' financial system, says CBN. Okay, let's start with your farmer reports.
I'll start with the story. It's about the sugar revolution. Apparently, a few years back, the Nigerian Sugar Institute chairman is Kabiru Rabiu, who is also the group executive director of BOA. And he was, in a statement, was addressing the Nigerian Industry Policy Competitiveness Advisory Council in Ilorin, Kwara State, mentioning that if we can replicate what happened in the Sugar Development Council and do it with the rice sector, because he is an active participant in the sugar sector, and he saw how the policy framework encouraged sugar to become sugar consumption now is largely local. And he said if we can have such a council for the rice, we will be able to develop substantially the rice sector in a more cohesive manner, and I 100% support it. Linked, okay.
So I have a story. This is from the East. So Dr. Okwesile Zewodu, he is a former national chairman of PDP and also former governor of Enugu State. And what he's just saying is that we should make 2023, we should give the Southeast a chance to produce a president in 2023. And he believes that this will go a long way in solving solving our marginalization issues, all the grievances concerning national unity. It would heal the wounds of the Civil War, and also encouraging stakeholders and leaders of the Southeast to engage other leaders of other zones, to talk to them about doing this, about bringing someone to represent Nigeria from the Southeast. Yeah. He's also condemning the Eastern Security Network that is being led by Nnamdi Kanu, and says that really this is a war that you're going to lose anyway. Why would you embark on something like that? So
I don't want us to miss it, because the Agbekoya, which is the Farmers Association of Farmers in the Yoruba land, as well as Afenifere, are saying that they brought war into their zone. Marauding herdsmen are causing crises around the southwestern region. The statement was being affiliated with the crisis going on in Oyo State, but the Oyo governor is saying that many of the videos and audios being pushed on social media, they found out they were false, and that these videos and audio messages are aggravating the situation on ground. That let's be careful before forwarding materials online and reposting them, because we are aggravating the already tense situation that they want to bring unrest into Oyo State, and they are trying their best to amend the issues. And I would say the same thing. Please, before you forward that message, be sure that it will achieve the goal of bringing peace.
We need to make this a topic at some point, because the truth is that many of our generation have never experienced civil war. We've never experienced. We don't even know. Many of us, we only hear our grandfathers talk about what happened during the civil war we had. And we don't know how these things start from just social media. It can actually further aggravate the situation and cause mayhem. So we need to be very careful on how we're spreading information. What we are saying to each other is so important. Yes, everybody's passionate about certain factors, certain issues, but at the same time, we must take responsibility for what we're saying, so we don't eventually come to that situation where things are really, really running out of control. Let's go on a break. When we come back, this issue of cryptocurrency is what Nigerians are talking about. Many Nigerians are even clueless on what it is. We'll get to understanding in a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So over the weekend, the central bank ordered banks and other financial institutions to identify persons and entities operating cryptocurrency exchanges and close all such accounts. According to the CBN, dealing with cryptocurrency and facilitating payments through it is prohibited in the country. The decision by the Apex Bank is drawing outrage, especially among young people. Joining us on the show right now is Tokunbo Afikuyomi Jr., who is an economist and the editor-in-chief of Steers Business. We have Olaoluwa Samuel-Biyi, a Forbes Under 30 partner at Hacked Capital. And also, we should be joining us is doctoral candidate on blockchain economics. Actually, that's what he is, actually. Then, Senator Uba Sani, the chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions, will be speaking to us on the possible intervention by the Senate on this. So we have these three gentlemen to be joining us on this, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on it before I come to the ladies. Oh, our guests are on already. Oh, fantastic. Yes. Hello. How are you doing, sirs? Hi, Mr. Afikuyomi. Good to have you on the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here.
Good. All right, so I might as well start with you on this issue. I mean, lots of young people are complaining about this fiat directive from the CBN. And we've seen reports by the CBN telling us the reasons why this was necessary. They have told us it's being used for money laundering, trafficking, the fact that it's not a regulated sector, which is a problem for the CBN. In your view, do these justifications agree with what you feel about the whole cryptocurrency ban? Let me start with you.
Yeah, good question.
Go ahead.
So I guess it's important context to say that this is not a problem that's specific to Nigeria. Cryptocurrencies are a worldwide instrument that are being used by almost all countries in the world. And the issue around the use of money or cryptocurrency being used for money laundering or terrorism activities, again, is a global problem. And it's not just also, it's good to have the context that that is not just the case with cryptocurrencies. Fiat money, so normal naira, dollar, also has problems with money laundering and terrorism activities. Now, the Nigerian government has taken a weird stance in terms of, or I guess the CBN has taken a weird stance in terms of dealing with the problem. So while other countries like Canada and other advanced countries have improved their laws and improved the safety of the use of cryptocurrencies by increasing regulation, the CBN has decided to just go on an all-out ban. So the question is more around, did the CBN take the right approach in terms of dealing with the problem? The problem exists, and everybody knows there is a problem. But the question is, how do we actually deal with the problem? And it's the way in which the CBN has done that everybody has a problem with.
Right.
Yeah, so my question is to Olaoluwa. And for me, I think that also for many Nigerians who are watching, the first time, when we said we're doing cryptocurrency and I saw you and Tokunbo, I was like, every time you talk about cryptocurrencies, young, upwardly mobile people that you see. And so for many Nigerians, it seems to be something that only young people do, or it's something that benefits young people. It's still very much not a mainstream in Nigeria. Could you just give us, like in a few words, what it means and bring many Nigerians up to speed with what cryptocurrency is?
Happy to do that. Well, cryptocurrencies are, in the simplest terms, digital assets. They are instruments that are issued on the internet, on the blockchain, that represent some form of value based on what people choose to value them at, as with any other real-life asset. The uniqueness of this asset class is that it is secured on an infrastructure called the blockchain that prevents multiple ownership of the same type of asset. So it has the similar attributes of the real-world asset, just that the limitations that the digital world will present, where, for example, you could double spend a particular asset, two people could own the same thing, is removed based on the infrastructure and technology called the blockchain. So you're right that there's usually a generational divide in terms of the understanding of this type of asset class, and it is understandable given that younger people tend to be a bit more digitally savvy when it comes to things like the internet and technology. What we need to really avoid is where there is that generational war and lack of understanding, where a lot of things that are being made or policies that are being deployed by one generation without really taking into account the context and the consideration and the needs of the other generation.
Right.
So I want to go further with your conversation line of the generational gap and the fact that you cannot properly adjudge what you don't understand. There's very high likelihood that what we might need to do first is to educate our decision makers on the real benefits of this new industry. But first, I want to rant. I just want to rant. Because as a young Nigerian entrepreneur, it hurts. This policy flip-flop makes our planning as entrepreneurs tough. It makes our dreams tough to execute. It makes selling our ideas almost impossible to people. Because every day I talk about the cashew or investment opportunities to potential investors, and the first thing I hear is, what if Nigeria wakes up and says you cannot sell cashew? So it sounds ridiculous, but look at what they just did. It just, in 1 minute, people who've built their business on cryptocurrency just wake up and their account is locked out. So same thing we had with Okada ban. You just hear it and you've invested money into this thing. So what was your first reaction to seeing that what you what was your career path now seem to be not allowed and illegal in Nigeria?
Well, my first instinct when I saw the circular was, one of disappointment, because, it really reveals a very, very shallow understanding of what is going on in the industry. You find a lot of Nigerians, potentially up to 1 million, with interactions and touch points to the cryptocurrency ecosystem. And if you're a Nigerian that is in any way mobile, you will know that there is almost what seems like a global international conspiracy against enabling Nigerian young people to pay and to get paid. There is no policy today or no infrastructure development or no private sector improvement that can potentially engage enough Nigerian youths productively. What needs to be done is to enable these people to be able to get paid and seek employment or seek engagement internationally. And you've seen it with large populations in places like India and places like China. But as a Nigerian, there is today no more effective or efficient way to get paid something as little as $50, which is more than our monthly minimum wage, via the internet, via traditional banking rails, without going through something like cryptocurrency. And Nigerians have found this channel as a way to import capital to get paid across the world. And if you look at the profile of people that are using cryptocurrencies and what they're using it for, if you had a conversation with any of them, they will tell you exactly what they're using this asset class for.
Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation with you both. Thank you. Stay with us. We'll be right
back. Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So over the weekend, the central bank ordered banks and other financial institutions to identify persons and entities operating cryptocurrency exchanges and close all such accounts. According to the CBN, dealing with cryptocurrency and facilitating payments through it is prohibited in the country. The decision by the Apex Bank is drawing outrage, especially among young people. Joining us on the show right now is Tokunbo Afikuyomi Jr., who is an economist and the editor-in-chief of Steers Business. We have Olaoluwa Samuel-Biyi, a Forbes Under 30 partner at Hacked Capital. And also, we should be joining us is doctoral candidate on blockchain economics. No, sorry, actually, that's what he is, actually. Then, Senator Uba Sani, the chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions, will be speaking to us on the possible intervention by the Senate on this. So we have these three gentlemen to be joining us on this, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on it before I come to the ladies. Oh, our guests are on already. Oh, fantastic. Yes. Hello. How are you doing, sirs? Hi, Mr. Afikuyomi. Good to have you on the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here.
Good, good, good. All right, so I might as well start with you on this issue. I mean, lots of young people are complaining about this fiat directive from the CBN. And we've seen reports by the CBN telling us the reasons why this was necessary. They have told us it's being used for money laundering, trafficking, the fact that it's not a regulated sector, which is a problem for the CBN. In your view, do these justifications agree with what you feel about the whole cryptocurrency ban? Let me start with you.
Yeah, good question.
Go ahead.
So I guess it's important context to say that this is not a problem that's specific to Nigeria. Cryptocurrencies are a worldwide instrument that are being used by almost all countries in the world. And the issue around the use of money or cryptocurrency being used for money laundering or terrorism activities, again, is a global problem. And it's not just also, it's good to have the context that that is not just the case with cryptocurrencies. Fiat money, so normal naira, dollar, also has problems with money laundering and terrorism activities. Now, the Nigerian government has taken a weird stance in terms of, or I guess the CBN has taken a weird stance instead of dealing with the problem. So while other countries like Canada and other advanced countries have improved their laws and improved the safety of the use of cryptocurrencies by increasing regulation, the CBN has decided to just go on an all-out ban. So the question is more around, did the CBN take the right approach in terms of dealing with the problem? The problem exists, and everybody knows there is a problem. But the question is, how do we actually deal with the problem? And it's the way in which the CBN has done that everybody has a problem with.
Right. Yeah, so my question is to Olaoluwa. And for me, I think that also for many Nigerians who are watching, the first time, you know, when we said we're doing cryptocurrency and I saw you and Tokunbo, I was like, every time you talk about cryptocurrencies, young, upwardly mobile people that you see. And so for many Nigerians, it seems to be something that only young people do, or it's something that benefits young people. It's still very much not a mainstream in Nigeria. Could you just give us, like in a few words, what it means and bring many Nigerians up to speed with what cryptocurrency is?
Happy to do that. Well, cryptocurrencies are, in the simplest terms, digital assets. They are instruments that are issued on the internet, on the blockchain, that represent some form of value based on what people choose to value them at, as with any other real-life asset. The uniqueness of this asset class is that it is secured on an infrastructure called the blockchain that prevents multiple ownership of the same type of asset. So it has the similar attributes of a real-world asset, just that the limitations that the digital world will present, where, for example, you could double spend a particular asset, two people who own the same thing, is removed based on the infrastructure and technology called the blockchain. So you're right that there's usually a generational divide in terms of the understanding of this type of asset class, and it is understandable given that younger people tend to be a bit more digitally savvy when it comes to things like the internet and technology. What we need to really avoid is where there is that generational war and lack of understanding, where a lot of things that are being made or policies that are being deployed by one generation without really taking into account the context and the consideration and the needs of the other generation.
Right.
So I want to go further with your conversation line of the generational gap and the fact that you cannot properly adjudge what you don't understand. There's very high likelihood that what we might need to do first is to educate our decision makers on the real benefits of this new industry. But first, I want to rant. I just want to rant. Because as a young Nigerian entrepreneur, it hurts. This policy flip-flop makes our planning as entrepreneurs tough. It makes our dreams tough to execute. It makes selling our ideas almost impossible to people. Because every day I talk about the cashew or investment opportunities to potential investors, and the first thing I hear is, what if Nigeria wakes up and says you cannot sell cashew? So it sounds ridiculous, but look at what they just did. It just, in 1 minute, people who've built their business on cryptocurrency just wake up and their account is locked out. So same thing we had with Okada ban. Somebody you just hear it and you've invested money into this thing. So what was your first reaction to seeing that what was your career path now seems to be not allowed and illegal in Nigeria?
Well, my first instinct when I saw the circular was, one of disappointment, because, it really reveals a very, very shallow understanding of what is going on in the industry. You find a lot of Nigerians, potentially up to 1 million, with interactions and touch points to the cryptocurrency ecosystem. And if you're a Nigerian that is in any way mobile, you will know that there is almost what seems like a global international conspiracy against enabling Nigerian young people to pay and to get paid. There is no policy today or no infrastructure development or no private sector improvement that can potentially engage enough Nigerian youths productively. What needs to be done is to enable these people to be able to get paid and seek employment or seek engagement internationally. And you've seen it with large populations in places like India and places like China. But as a Nigerian, there is today no more effective or efficient way to get paid something as little as $50, which is more than our monthly minimum wage, via the internet, via traditional banking rails, without going through something like cryptocurrency. And Nigerians have found this channel as a way to import capital to get paid across the world. And if you look at the profile of people that are using cryptocurrencies, and what they're using it for. If you had a conversation with any of them, they will tell you exactly what they're using this asset class for.
Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation with you both. Thank you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we still have our guest here. We're waiting for if we can bring in a government official at some point to comment on this. But in the meantime, we still have our guest, Tokunbo Afikuyomi. My question is to you, Tokunbo. Tokunbo, you're an economist, and I think you should understand why many governments are nervous about this issue of crypto assets, mainly because they can't be regulated. Many governments can't even tax it. It's hard for government to actually monitor the transactions ongoing. So there is the group of people doing it for the right reasons, young people creating industries. And there are people taking advantage of this gap to traffic weapons into the country, traffic illicit drugs and all that, using crypto as a means of exchange. So you can understand the nervousness of the government. In your view as an economist, what approach do you think is best for the government to take to stop or to even reduce these illegal transactions ongoing via crypto?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So you're right. It's a very big problem where you have agents using some of the uses of crypto to move money around in a negative fashion. And what the government needs to do is basically improve the regulation around the use of cryptocurrency. So banks, for example, are monitoring bank accounts and have many anti-money laundering and terrorist procedures in place to make sure that money is not used for the wrong reasons. Now, for now, cryptocurrencies don't have that type of regulation, and that's what's making central banks very nervous. The other thing, from an economic point of view, that makes cryptocurrencies look like a threat to central banks or governments is that the more cryptocurrencies increase in adoption, so the more people use cryptocurrencies as normal money, for example, the less central banks have an ability to influence monetary policy. So the only thing central banks exist for is to control money supply. And so if not more and more people are using cryptocurrencies for their money and their payments, that reduces the ability of the central bank to control the financial system. And so that is what is making them nervous.
And so what needs to happen is that we can't even trace where the money is coming from. So there are two parties exchanging, and it's difficult. Shouldn't that be a problem for you as an economist?
Yeah, no, of course, that is a big problem, but it's not impossible. There are countries that are able to do this tracing, because if you increase the regulation and increase the KYC, for example, on exchanges, if you use a cryptocurrency exchange, or if you increase the KYC requirements on those, like the same way you have with banks, you are able to get information, right? Right. Other countries have caught people that have used cryptocurrencies for bad reasons. It's not impossible to do that. You just need to increase the regulation around it.
Okay, so
I mean, something that was also mentioned on a previous conversation was that how this is kind of like a generational divide between the youth and the old. But I want to make something clear in terms of what this policy means in terms of this impact. It's not just a policy that's impacting cryptocurrencies or the youth generation. The way in which this policy was implemented has a big effect, a big negative effect on Nigeria's business environment. Whether it's cashew, whether it's cryptocurrency, the manner and the fashion in which it was done just sends a very red signal to any investor, domestic or foreign, that doing business in Nigeria, you can wake up one morning and your entire revenue stream, your entire career can go out the window. So I just wanted to stress that as well.
Okay, so you understand that Nigeria right now is going through, many challenges, especially when it comes to things like insecurity. I mean, that's something we discuss every day now in Nigeria. And when the government comes out and says this is something that is used to finance terrorism, I'm sure you can understand why many Nigerians would sort of agree with government. So what is it that, and then, you just made a point about being able to trace it. But we know that right now, even with the fiat money, the regular Nigerian money, when it comes to kidnapping and things like that, we're unable to trace some of these transactions. So is it then a surprise that the government would rather ask that this be banned, at least within the banks, because that's what I hear this particular circular was about the banks involving themselves in businesses like this, until Nigeria can figure itself out concerning how to trace even regular Nigerian money first, before we talk about these technological innovations. So the question is, do you understand the fear?
Go ahead.
Well, it's important to note that cryptocurrency transactions are only untraceable and anonymous if they are done peer-to-peer, if they are done outside of formal exchanges. What is ironic is that the action by the authorities were targeted at exchanges that today objectively have more robust KYC and AML rules and processes than even traditional banks. You cannot move money in and out of a standard exchange in Nigeria today into an account that is not your own in your name. You verify that account with your bank statement, you do some address verification for certain transaction limits, your account is flagged for irregular transactions, you have your pictures taken and your bank statements taken from you if you're going to transact with the cryptocurrency exchange. So the only touch points that the authorities and law enforcement have with even monitoring and understanding what's going on in the cryptocurrency space is via these exchanges. In taking this action, they have moved formal, traceable, and regulatable, if that is a word, transactions away from these formal exchanges and move them more into the black market, into the shadow economy, creating even further liquidity for these assets in that economy. And this is just countering exactly the spirit of what they're trying to achieve. Now, what most countries of the world do, and most countries that are progressive and trying to look at this industry as one that could potentially be profitable, is that they work with these exchanges directly to ensure that there are suspicious activity reports that are sent out to the authorities, there are specific KYC ML rules, there are taxation rules that are being extracted out of these platforms and all of these things, because the only way you can get a handle on the cryptocurrency market is by ensuring that it's formalized via regulated exchanges and working with them directly with their expertise and technology to make it happen.
Right. All right. I have to go on a quick break again. When I come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we still have two young men with us. We're trying to get our government official, but unfortunately, he can't be with us at this time. So we'll still be on this story sometime this week. But we still have our two young men, Mr. Tokunbo Afikuyomi Jr., economist and editor-in-chief of Steers Business, and Mr. Olaoluwa Samuel-Biyi, a Forbes Under 30 partner at Hackett and the doctoral candidate on blockchain economics. Yes, Toko had a question for them.
So I want to take it from, so I've already expressed my displeasure with this policy, but I want to try and wear the shoes of our policymakers and try to understand where they're coming from. A bunch of young people are trading and making money, and they cannot be, we cannot fully regulate or control what they're doing. There are countless stories online of scammers, people that in the name of, we will help you buy, invest in cryptocurrency, take people's money out, and then they don't get refund. So, and then there's a lot of insecurity, and they say this monies might be funded by this economy, this shadow economy, this crypto. So, understanding where the government is coming from, how would you advise this be approached so that we don't, in a way to encourage young people, don't create a problem that we can't solve?
Yeah, there is no country in the world where cryptocurrency is legal tender, right? The default stance of any authority is that only a government-issued asset can be legal tender. So that is understood. What we need to do is to be in the company of progressive countries that have figured out how to really formalize this market and protect participants in the industry. You look at, most of the advanced nations, the US, Canada, the UK, most of Europe, what they've done is create a regulatory regime for cryptocurrency players.
Can you mention an African country, please? Sorry. Can we mention an African country? Because it's sort of like we're comparing ourselves, it's like day and night. We're very far from them. We're an underdeveloped country. So is there any African country that's getting it right?
Well, Nigeria is actually the leader already in this space. So it's going to be a disfavor to the country to compare ourselves with people who are following. But even then, you have countries like South Africa that have active exchanges that are working in the market. And in those markets, a lot of these exchanges are considered to be things, for example, in Canada, money service businesses, in the US, and exchanges going public. And if we are to become progressive as a nation, as become more technologically advanced, we want to really be comparing ourselves in the company of this type of nations, not companies like Kyrgyzstan, Venezuela.
Let me pause you for a second.
Because it cannot be our economic example.
Olawale, Nigeria is like the second, I think, in the world. I think in Africa, $200 million, the value of the volume, $200 million every single month. There's no government that's going to close their eyes to that. That's a lot of money going back without government regulation.
Well, you shut it down.
So you can understand where they're coming from. Another factor is that young people who understand this industry, we don't see them actually trying to push for government understanding. I mean, I would like to see more structured. I mean, there's somebody was saying, let me just quote the gentleman, a crypto analyst, Sankara Osareme, was saying that the Nigerian government has succeeded in giving cryptocurrency the highest form of advertisement in Africa with this their ban, suggesting that people are going to go backdoor to get this thing done. This black market channel, could you explain it to us so we understand what the government can, maybe the government can use this to understand how best to manage it, because no government is going to sit back and see transactions of $200 million monthly going through their own banks without them having some kind of regulatory function.
Yeah, $200 million is not going to disappear tomorrow because of the banking channel ban, right? It's going to continue. It's going to persist. Just that it's just going to become unseen and invisible. Today, the way that happens via some channels is that you want a transaction in cryptocurrency, you go to an exchange that is formal with principles that are known. You go there, submit your government-issued identification, and you make that transaction with a trusted party. That way, the government can know who is transacting, what they're transacting, where they are, and if there's any illicit activity going on with that transaction, they can identify who is responsible and effect an arrest. They can also create frameworks to see that volume, tax it, for example, or even grow it and make sure that it's being used for productive activity. What is going to happen now, as we've seen with examples in places like Kenya, in Zimbabwe, in Venezuela, is when the banking channels are plugged, this transaction moves away from these formal traceable channels into a black market, into WhatsApp groups, into Telegram groups where people say, hey, you have Bitcoin, I want to buy, you have Bitcoin, I want to sell. And they send it to each other on a peer-to-peer basis without having a Bitcoin or crypto as a reference in the bank transfer. It's still going to the bank system, it's still flowing, it's a little bit more difficult and it has a little bit more friction. But now it's impossible to control, it's impossible to manage, and it's impossible to regulate. And it's this type of environment that cryptocurrencies were developed specifically to thrive. So if any government or any authority wants to get a hold or a handle on that volume, on that transaction, on 200 million a month, they need to make sure that they're working with exchanges, trying to get all of these volumes on this type of platform so that they can at least work with known principles to see what's going on and control it.
Right.
So my question is for Tokunbo. We have mentioned countries who have embraced cryptocurrency and its other, associated businesses, but there are countries who have banned it as well.
I can't hear you very clearly.
Okay, we've talked about countries. We've mentioned countries who have accepted cryptocurrency, right? But there are countries that have banned it. We have countries like China. Some people even say that many of the EU countries also are not comfortable with this. So obviously, to the Nigerian government, this shows that many people say this shows that Nigeria is not completely, out of
place.
Yeah, out of place by banning it. If countries, especially China, a country that we do a lot of business with, if such a country could ban it, do we know the reason why? Because for me also, looking at the countries that have been mentioned, they're politically, they are much more, would I say, like an authoritative kind of government. Is it more about politics, or is there something about the economics of these countries that Nigeria is looking into and seeing the similarities with ours, and that's why they have banned it?
Yes, it's a very good question. And it's interesting because one of the reasons why cryptocurrency is so popular in Nigeria is because of all the restrictions and all the difficulties that exist with the Naira. So you have inflation on the Naira and you have depreciation of the exchange rate. So when you include that with the difficulties in terms of sending money abroad or receiving money from abroad, what you have is a difficult environment with the Naira. And so the reason why cryptocurrencies are actually popular in Nigeria is to circumvent those difficulties that we have. And so what those other countries you mentioned also have in common are those problems. So places like Zimbabwe, very popular for cryptocurrency because the Zimbabwe dollar is, we know the problems that happen there with how worthless the currency becomes.
Yeah.
Okay, unfortunately, that's all we can take on this. We thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. It's quite important for us to have... Yes, can you hear me? It's quite important.
Sorry, I think I lost you for a second.
Yes, unfortunately, we have to wrap up on this conversation. I wanted to thank the two gentlemen for joining us this morning, Mr. Tokunbo Afikuyomi Jr., the economist and editor-in-chief of Steers Business, and Mr. Olaoluwa Samuel-Biyi, a Forbes under 30 partner at Hackett Capital and also a doctoral candidate on blockchain economics. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning. We appreciate your thoughts. As I said, we're supposed to have a government official to give us some clarity, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. But as I said, the conversation will continue throughout the week because we need understanding. And once we understand, maybe people will be able to perceive the whole situation better. Let's go on a break now. When we come back, we had a news from Ekiti State that caught our attention. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we recently discussed the story of the policewoman who was dismissed because she got pregnant as an unmarried woman. However, the government of Ekiti State have since taken her to court, taken the IGP to court in her defense. Speaking to us now is the Ekiti State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Olawale Fapohunda. Good morning, sir. Good to have you on the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So this is a civil matter, I would say, or between this woman and the police. It's a private matter, I would say. Why is the government of Ekiti State getting involved in this?
Well, first, it's a fundamental human rights matter to start with. But maybe a bit of background is necessary. Okay. The governor received several petitions from across the country and even outside the country on the situation of this woman. Now, many people don't realize that the state governors do not have powers over the appointment or termination of police officers. However, when we received the many complaints, we looked at it, invited the police officer in question, who happens to be resident in Ekiti State. And we thought that both the petitions and the complaint of the police officer has merit. Now, let me also say quickly that even before now, the government of Ekiti State had put together a memorandum to the National Assembly in furtherance of the police reform consultation process. And many of the things that we identified that needs to be done has everything all to do with the police regulations. And I quickly take you through a number of provisions that is of concern to us apart from this particular one that we are now litigating. For example, if you look at section 118 of the police regulations, you cannot be enlisted into the police force if you are a married woman. I don't know how many people know that. Now, if you also look at section 124, which thankfully had now been reversed by a federal high court, even to get married, you need the permission of...
Oh, we lost you.
But thankfully, that aware that the fact that the appealed that matter.
Okay. We lost you there for a moment. Are you there?
And the list goes on. So no. Hello?
Okay, so we lost you for a minute. You said that to get married, you need permission of who?
I was talking about section 124.
Yes, you need permission of the police, but that provision, I think that provision has been litigated
Expunged.
on.
Yes.
And the court has set aside that provision.
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to ask you a question, sir. It is, people don't realize they have a right to contest constitution.
Right.
If you feel a constitution does not serve you.
That we are concerned about.
Oh, sorry, can you hear me now, sir? I have a question for you, sir. I hope you can hear me. We're having technical issues. I think many Nigerians don't realize.
Hear you, yes.
Okay, good. Many Nigerians don't realize they can contest a constitution that doesn't favor them, and going to court is normal. So that there was a bit of reaction people had when they saw the report that Ekiti was suing the IGP. But I want to highlight the specifics of this constitution. It is constitutional for the police, according to the law on ground, within the police commission, to sack an unmarried policewoman that gets pregnant. So is Ekiti trying to say that this law should be expunged or it should not be enforced and we should no longer be considering it? What are you hoping to achieve with this legal process?
Oh, we're having connection issues. Oh. It's frozen, I think.
Well, the network is bad. I'm not sure I heard what you said. You know, I could not hear everything.
Okay, can you hear us now? Can you hear us now?
Yes, okay, I can hear you now.
Let her repeat the question.
Okay, so I said that litigation is normal. I want to understand that. I want to first state that this is legal. There's a law saying that unmarried women in the police force are not allowed to get pregnant. If they get pregnant, they'll be discharged. What are you hoping to achieve with this case? Is it to allow women freely get pregnant and it shouldn't affect their job in the police force? What exactly are you trying to achieve, sir?
No. You know, it's not limited to one. It's not limited to one woman.
Go ahead.
I think he's done.
Well, you know, our intervention is not limited to just one woman. However, unfortunate that case is. Broadly, our concern is simply that, you know, the whole that provision on enlistment of women police officers in the police regulations appears to be as if we do not even want women to be in the force. So it's not about one single person. It's the whole conversation. We are trying to have a whole conversation about, you know, what is the kind of opportunities that are available to women in as far as the police force is concerned. And, you know, for Ekiti State, it's not even about law, justice, and human rights issues only. We are concerned that, you know, about the opportunities that, you know, women are denied entering the police force. Many of our women want to join the police force. But, you know, once you look at these regulations, it's an important stumbling block. You know, why should marriage, for example, be a problem? You know, we lose the benefits of married women getting to police force. And what is worse, that the kind of obstacles that we are placing in front of women who want to join the police is not the same that you place in front of for men. So for us, it's a broader conversation. And let me also say that, you know, it's not just about litigation for us. Well, you know, going to court will achieve clarification. But there's also, you know, a conversation role. We want to engage the police, which is why, you know, we've said that the wife of the governor, of our governor, who is very conversant with issues of this nature, is willing to have, you know, to facilitate a conversation around having a gender audit of this regulation. The governor is the chairperson of the governor's forum and has a place in the police council. we also are hoping that
I'm married. I'm married to Ekiti, so I'm my marriage.
Okay, so my question, really, you have even answered my question, because I just wanted to know what was the motive and the intention behind this. And I have to say that I'm really proud of Ekiti State concerning this, because I remember when the conversations about rape too, your state was quite forward and front and forward, you know, on these conversations. And there's a theme of women empowerment and women's rights that I see Ekiti pushing. But recently, just a little deviation, there was talk about someone not able to get a passport or getting a passport and realizing her name was, she still had her own maiden name instead of her marital name. I don't know if it's something that has come before Ekiti State, and if it's, yeah, can add to it, all the women issues, we should just bring it to Ekiti State. Maybe you can help us.
I hope he heard.
He didn't hear that.
It's a bit delayed. I think he heard. Right.
Okay.
Did you get that? Oh. Mr. Fapohunda, are you still there?
Well, I'm here. The only thing I had was all women issues bring to Ekiti State. That is very scary. Please don't bring all women issues to Ekiti State. We don't have the resources. But having said so, you know, yes, we pride ourselves as being very activists, if you like, on matters of gender-based violence as a whole and the rights of women. We are putting in place several laws, policies that seems to affirm, that works to affirm the rightful place of women in both public and private life. And this conversation we are having presently around the Police Act and regulations is the furtherance of that. As you know, the wife of our governor is well knowledgeable on these matters and has spent her lifetime, you know, pursuing the rights of our women. Right, so for us, you know, just furtherance of what we do.
Right. So because we have to wrap up very soon, you have lawmakers who go to the National Assembly, you have senators. What can they do on the federal level to help push this agenda further? Because obviously there are lots of women within the House that try really hard to get that gender equality bill passed. What are you doing? I mean, we see that Ekiti State, my state, my marriage, is at the forefront of this. I would like to see what you can do to scale it up a bit, where we can see more agitation at the House for this. Hey, you want to boom?
Network.
You did not hear me, sir?
He heard. He was
Well, I had Ekiti State, and I had what are we doing as far as engaging the National Assembly is concerned.
Okay, you heard.
You know, charity, let us first say charity begins at home. Our first priority has been to ensure that our own House of Assembly here enact laws that respond to concerns of women in the state. That is a useful step. We are also linking up with our parliamentarians in the Senate and the House in the House of Representatives, again to be sure that many of these issues that we are putting forward. At the national, you know, it's about having a national conversation. Ekiti State will not achieve the kind of progress we want to achieve, which is why we continue to use the platform of the governor of Ekiti State as chairman of Governors Forum, as well as the platform of the wife of our governor, to push these issues forward.
No problem. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you joining us this morning. We have to run at this time. Thank you very much. And for those of you searching for husbands, please check Ekiti State, because they believe in their women.
No, but I also want to appreciate
I just want to add.
Yes, the wife of the Fayemi. She's always spoken up, and we are seeing the subtle power of an active woman in government. This is definitely.
And for me, I think is better questions for the Ministry of Women Affairs. I mean, I would like to see you guys also front and center on issues like
that. I think they are. In fairness, I think they are. I think they
are trying.
They are making efforts.
Yeah, it would be nice to also hear that they have taken a case to court. That
they've taken a few cases. I know of a few that I know the Ministry of Women Affairs are also working on. But the truth is that I'm happy. You see, you don't know how happy I am, because this is a governor and his wife working together to push the agenda of gender equality.
When you go to school, Simple. When you go to school.
So you go to school. So because it's so difficult to even comprehend the fact that we can have female leaders in this country. But when you start having equality, people can begin to imagine, okay, I can have a female governor. I can have a female president.
But we must say for Lagos State, we're seeing the strength of our First Lady is in the health sector, and she is very, very active as well. So whenever we see this, we'll talk about it.
I think this year we're seeing lots of powerful first ladies. Like
Kebbi State as well, very vocal, powerfully influencing things.
Okay, that's all we can take on the show. I hope you learned a few things as we have.
Yes, we did.
So please, men love their women, and they take care of us very well. Oh my God, our guy is here. That's all I can take. Bye.